Hey everyone, Diavolo here, and in today's video, we're going over one of my favorite fights from throughout the dope-ass series that is Tatsuki Fujimoto's Chainsaw Man. So, this may not be the flashiest or craziest fight in the series, but personally, I think that this fight here, the Chainsaw Man vs Katana Man battle, which pits our reps at the Bureau against some dirty-ass Gun Devil agents, is one of the greatest fights in the entire series, especially the first half of it, as it symbolizes the moment pretty much everything changes inside of the world. Like, our perception gets utterly flipped on its head as we realize the true brutality that this series has in store. And not just that, it's the moment that I think you start to realize just how good Tatsuki Fujimoto's writing actually is, as everything that he's been building up with Denji and the story so far over the previous 40 chapters starts falling perfectly into place. Also, I did get hit with the big three, as you can probably hear yourself. First, it was the pup who I had to rush to the vets as she was having seizures, but luckily she's turned out perfectly fine after only 2 nights at the vets. Then I had my freaking wisdom teeth start coming through, literally messing up my jaw. And then, on top of that, I had to get horrendously sick at the same time, which just ruined my entire upload schedule as I was stuck in bed for almost 2 odd weeks. However, I'm slightly starting to feel better now, so subscribe as we're only like 1k off 100k, so that's actually freaking mental, and I can't thank you all enough for the support, as it's just been freaking crazy. But anyway, enough of me creaming over how well the channel's been doing recently. Time for me to jump into this ramen store just before everything kicks off. So, as I just said, we start off inside of a ramen shop, and while the main core of Division 4 chills out, they hear a bunch of gunshots in the distance, but they just assume that they're merely drum beats as they're so far away. A stranger on the table next to them speaks up, insulting the quality of the ramen. Denji and Power, who hear this, are both offended by it, and the man sitting there comments on the pair's unrefined palate, remarking that those who do not eat much in their youth gain a poor sense of taste later in life. Sensing that something's wrong, Aki tells them all to leave, but the random man continues talking. He begins discussing his beloved grandfather, whom would often spoil him. Then, in a moment that probably makes Denji start tripping, he reveals his grandfather to be the old man who raised Denji and was later possessed by the zombie devil. He accuses Denji of causing the old man's death, which, not gonna lie bro, my man kinda messed up your granddad. Pretty sure he's lying somewhere inside of like some shed cut into a bunch of different pieces looking like a burrito or something. Anyways, this random man then states that the gun devil wants his heart. He then whips out a gun and shoots Denji in the head, killing him, before shooting Himeno in the chest and Aki in the arm. Before he can continue though, our best girl Power punches him, knocking the gun out of his hand. Aki then instantly summons the fox devil to devour the mysterious dude. Looking over, he worriedly sees Denji's dead and unmoving body, as well as Himeno's critically injured state. Taking Aki by surprise though, the fox devil then suddenly informs him that the man was neither human nor devil, before its head is viciously torn apart from the inside and the man re-emerges, revealing himself to be a devil-human hybrid fused with the one and only Katana devil. Aki orders Power to stop Himeno's bleeding, then pulls out his infamous sword and unsheaths it for the first time. Looking at it, Power is surprised to see that it resembles a nail rather than a blade. Initiating the battle, the Katana Man swings at him, but Aki dodges before readying his blade and shouting fire. Eerily, a devil slightly appears and is shown flicking the nail's point into the Katana Man's body, as a disembodied mouth is then seen sounding the number 3. Confused with what just happened, the Katana Man hesitates before swinging again. Aki once again dodges, shouting fire once more and piercing the devil-human hybrid once again. Again, the disembodied voice speaks, saying the number 2. Finally, Aki makes a lunge, piercing the Katana Man's belly, and the curse's voice states 1. The Katana Man knocks him back, showing confusion over his plan. However, Aki calls out to the devil, telling it to finish him. As the devil appears, it states 0, causing a massive disembodied hand to grow and grab the Katana Man. Momentarily, he expresses shock before literally being torn limb from limb by a giant skeletal devil, then being left to fall to the floor unconscious and bleeding profusely. Aki calls out to Power, who recommends getting Himeno a doctor, leaving him shocked as he remembers the use of a gun and the man's ominous statement regarding the gun devil. Suddenly, a young woman appears, commenting on the cursed devil's power. Seeing her, Aki asks whether or not she's working with the Katana Man. Stepping forward, the girl doesn't even respond, and simply picks back up the hybrid. She asks the Katana Man why he lost so easily, to which he ashamedly responds that he let down his guard. Reinitiating the battle, she orders him to kill the group quickly, leading the Katana Man to lunge forward at Aki. And before our boy can even respond, his chest is suddenly slashed by the katanas protruding from him. Aki, who's heavily injured from the attack, then drops to the floor. Sawatari, who's the chick by the way, I completely forgot to introduce her name, but yeah, anyway, she comments on how the wounds are likely non-fatal due to the Bureau's suits being reinforced with a special material. Himeno tells Power to forget about her and instead help Aki. However, Power just refuses as she's utterly terrified and believes herself to be far outmatched. Himeno attempts to summon the Ghost Devil, but it refuses out of pure fear of Sawatari and her curse. As a last resort in an attempt to save Aki, Himeno offers her everything to the Ghost Devil. Instantly, the Devil's grimace turns to a smile as its true, giant form is finally revealed. The Ghost Devil then starts to attack the Katana Man, and with each attack, Himeno loses more and more of her body, sacrificing it all to her devil. As this happens, she thinks back about her love, which is, Aki if you're all confused, and remarks on how unusual it is that he was still able to cry, as most devil hunters grow emotionally stunted over time. As Aki looks at her, she tells him not to die, as she still wants someone to be able to cry over her death. Damn, so, I ain't come through with the holy cutoffs this video so far, but this is the exact moment in the series where I truly realized just how messed up Tatsuki Fujimoto is. Dude is like Gege in the regard that he just does not care about your damn emotions at all. He's a demon who's legit just trying to actually destroy them. Like, this series takes such a drastic turn at this exact specific point. Anyways, as Sawatari summons her Snake Devil, ordering it to devour Himeno's devil, it does so, launching a bunch of attacks and leaving nothing at all of Himeno, aside from their clothes laying on the floor. Sawatari and the Katana Man then turn to Denji's incapacitated body, stating that their goal is to take his heart, but as they say this, the Ghost Devil's dying hand is somehow seen floating towards Denji's body. Somehow, Himeno literally comes through clutch even after dying and tears the freaking cord on his chest, reawakening and finally transforming him into the Chainsaw Man. Though he's initially confused by the current situation, Denji instantly recognizes that the Katana Man and Sawatari are his enemies. Like the absolute psycho he is, he excitedly charges at them, stating that he loves bad guys as no one cares how he brutally kills them. Sawatari, noting that she is missing some of her fingernails, calls for backup over a walkie-talkie, then looks over at Aki, who's still in complete shock over Himeno's death. Two backup agents then arrive and begin firing guns at Denji. Though he gets shot, he is able to knock both of the fodder falls down, then takes one as a hostage. Pissed off, the Katana Man, who just couldn't care at all about this random agent, slices through him and Denji, cutting them both in half at a speed Denji was unable to even register. Picking up Denji's mutilated top half, the Katana Man orders the other agents to get the car around, remarking that the other members of the 4th Division are likely already dead due to their vulnerability to guns. Which, for those of you who are confused about the other members of Div 4, well, just before the ramen shop stuff, pretty much they all got shot in the head by a bunch of dudes walking around town who ambushed them. Anyways, skipping forward from the fight over to Mummy Makima, just after she stunts on all of the fools who somehow thought they took her out. After she comes out of the train covered in blood and meeting up some of the agents, Makima theorizes that the gun agents are currently going after Denji. To combat this, she orders Tendo and Kuroz to find her a shrine with a high elevation and 30 criminals with life sentences, as well as a change of clothes. Back with Denji and his messed up body, a few gun agents move his top half into the car. But as they do so, one begins to weirdly sweat, remarking how strange he feels all of a sudden. In an instant, his body's flattened by an invisible force, horrifying all of his compatriots. Panicked, Sawatari calls to Team E, asking them to reconfirm Makima's death with Team C. However, as they all panic, an A-Team agent responds, commenting that they've lost contact with C-Team. But as he says this, he is too flattened mid-sentence. Back at the shrine, as Mummy Makima enacts her freaking death ritual, Tendo and Kuroz stand nearby, as well as 30 blindfolded prisoners who have all been lowered to their knees, being readied for their impending death. Tendo informs Kuroz that due to her high ranking, the nature of the devil Makima has a contract with is kept completely classified. Makima then orders a prisoner to say the name Mishima Shuzo, to which he complies. Over at the van, the gun agent named Mishima Shuzo is instantly flattened by another invisible force. Bro, it's like Makima's got the death note or something right now. Anyway, back at the shrine, the prisoner then falls dead as Makima, who couldn't care less about the previous dude, then instructs the next prisoner to say another name, and so on and so on. Throughout the entire country, multiple gun agents are constantly flattened over and over and over as a result of Makima's curse. Suddenly, she stops, then instructs Kuroz and Tendo to take off their blindfolds, telling them that she has done all she can do from their current location. Back at the van and just panicked with the situation of people dying around her, Sawatari orders the Katana man to hurry up and move Denji's body before Makima can interfere any further. As he does this though, he suddenly sees a random figure moving towards them, which turns out to be the family supporting girl, no one other than Kobeni, who's clutching her good old freaking kitchen knife. Kobeni asks Sawatari and the Katana man whether or not they are affiliated with the Gun Devil. Not concerned with the arrival of Kobeni, Sawatari summons the Snake Devil's tail to attack her, but somehow Kobeni's agility literally skyrocketed and she easily dodges it before running along its body towards the two. The Katana man tries to shoot at her, but Kobeni is just way too damn quick, and she easily slices his arm off first. Then, like on some Matrix level shit, she grabs the gun and shoots him in the back, then turns her aim towards Sawatari. The curse wielder though fires at her first, but being Kobeni, she has the world's biggest brain and actually uses Denji's reinforced chainsaw head to deflect the bullet. Sawatari, realizing that she could die here, grabs the Katana man and drags him into the car, then drives away. Kobeni, who's now looking down at Denji's unconscious torso, apologizes for trying to kill him in the past. Slowly, as the realization of everything sets in, growing slowly hysterical as she remembers Arai's dead body. Before deciding, she plans to tell Himeno that she quits the team. Which is, like hella sad, as she doesn't even realize that at this moment, Himeno is currently dead. But, that there does bring the end of the first battle to a close, and one that I find completely changes just the overall outlook on the series. Through the short but insanely brutal first battle here, one in which Denji really isn't the main fighting force for the first time, the weight behind what everyone does increases tenfold, because simply we know for a fact that those characters we considered unkillable, as they were a part of what we think are the key cast, are actually killable. It's like the moment in FMAB where Hughes gets ambushed and actually dies inside of the phone booth. It changes the dynamic of everything, and just makes us realize that the enemy won't stop at nothing to get their goal completed. Anyways, skipping forward to the beginning of the second battle now, and of course if you want to know exactly what happened in between these two battles, because oh my lord, the implications of Himeno's death, Aki using his curse tool too much, him getting a new devil, the stuff that goes down is actually freaking mental in between these two fights. So if you are interested and want to know more, then be sure to check out my video going over the entire Katana Man arc from Chainsaw Man, as that explains absolutely everything. But anyway, so as the second battle was about to take place, the Bureau all prepare to storm the gun agent's building. The Bureau, by the way, is just like the Japanese Hunters Association, pretty much. Inside of the building, Sawatari talks to the Katana man, reaffirming their plan to kill as many devil hunters as possible and steal Denji's heart. Outside, Kishibe orders the hunters to storm their building, while at the same time a pack of zombies lie in wait below them. Still outside, Kishibe introduces himself to the 2nd Division leader Furuno and the Popo Shina, who are in charge of locking down the building. He gives a rundown of the various non-human members of the Special 4th Division inside of the building, now fighting. Inside of the building, we see this crazy looking shark thing called Beam, who appears and begins devouring these zombies. In his frenzy, he accidentally bites another member of the 4th Division, the Violence Fiend, who in turn knocks him down before apologizing. Continuing to attack more zombies, the Violence Fiend notices a woman nearby and warns her to stay away before realizing that she's also a devil, and is in fact the spider devil called Princey. She then stands up and decapitates a zombie's head, who falls down and rolls over to the feet of the Angel Devil, who begins eating away the various bodies. Our boy Aki then shows up on the block and begins cutting through the horde of zombies. Seeing him, the Angel Devil asks Aki for a handkerchief to clean some blood off him, before explaining to Aki that he absorbs others' lifespans through touch and is surprised at how close Aki has gotten to him. Suddenly, a gunman appears and tries shooting the two of them, but Angel simply deflects the bullets while Aki closes in on the dude and stabs him. Then continuing on his own, he eventually comes face to face with the snake bitch Sawatari. Instantly, she does the most messed up thing you could ever possibly imagine and uses her devil to release Himeno's Ghost Devil, which is now completely subservient to her. Seeing this, Aki moves forward, deflecting most of the devil's attacks, as his new devil's ability, the future devil now, which you can go watch my video and get a good info on, gives him the ability to slightly see the future. However, he is still quickly overwhelmed by all of the arms the Ghost Devil has, and is soon being strangled by the creature itself. Going into a flashback, Aki remembers an early meeting with Himeno, one in which she offered him a cigarette. However, once she realizes that he's underage, she takes it back and promises to him to give it back when he really needs to rely on something. Back in the present, Aki looks up, having been released from the Ghost Devil's grasp. From amongst its mass, Himeno's right arm reaches out, holding a cigarette. Taking it, Aki sees the words, "Easy Revenge," written across it. Taking a deep breath, he steps forward, and while remembering Himeno's words, he reflects that the Ghost Devil is blind, so it senses its surroundings based on fear alone. Keeping himself calm, Aki climbs atop the Ghost Devil before promising Himeno that he'll die soon and join her. He then swings his sword down, decapitating the Ghost Devil and freeing Himeno from the snake's subservience. Shocked with the turn of events, Sabatari moves to summon the Snake Devil, but is stopped by our girl Kobeni, who's holding her good old kitchen knife to the girl's throat. Aki orders Kobeni not to kill her, then realizing that she didn't actually quit, he asks her why she's still even here, to which she awkwardly responds that she was close to earning her bonus pay. And for all of those who know exactly what she bought with her bonus pay when she did get it, let me know down in the comment section below, because I know exactly what it is, and it's such a beautiful piece of machinery if you ask me. Over at the gun agent headquarters, and using an elevator with Denji, Power begins chomping down on a severed zombie hand, which disgusts Denji, causing the two to break out into a miniature scuffle. As the two absolute freaking morons argue together, the elevator doors finally open, revealing a large swarm of zombies right in front of them. Due to the zombies somehow not even noticing them because they're dumber than the freaking duo in the elevator, Denji recommends they stay quiet and utilize the element of surprise. However, Power, being her usual loud self, begins screaming out and challenging the zombies to a death battle. She bravely steps forward and begins fighting as a bewildered and annoyed Denji remains in the elevator. Believing that her bro Denji is still watching her, Power easily slashes her way through dozens of hulking zombies, boasting that she is the strongest person alive. As Denji, who just stayed in the elevator, now arrives on the highest floor, he prepares to tear his frickin' let it rip switch. But when the elevator door opens and he sees the Katana Man along with a few of his agents, the Katana Man instantly asks him to just chill out for a sec so he can ask Denji a few questions. He explains his group's desire for compensation over the old man's death. But Denji, who's obviously just frustrated with hearing this now, tries explaining again that it wasn't his fault. The old man was zombified when he had killed him. However, the Katana hybrid just doesn't believe this. No, instead, the Katana Man asks Denji whether he truly felt nothing when killing zombies, reminding him that they used to be humans at some point. Denji repeats though that he felt absolutely nothing. Big Samurai Man then reveals that despite giving his heart to a devil, unlike Denji, he still feels guilt over killing zombies. He goes on to say that Denji is the only devil-human hybrid without a sense of conscience and morality. He questions Denji to just accept death as a form of mercy killing, but our boy, who just couldn't even care less, casually responds that he don't wanna, causing an irritated Katana Man to take off his hand and transform into his killing form. With the two now transformed, they clash and crash through a nearby wall, which drops the duo, sending them falling towards the streets below. The Katana Man and Denji glide through the air while still in combat and falling. As Denji gets pushed back, he falls and lands atop a moving train. Readying himself in time, he is able to block an attack from the still falling Katana Man, which sends both of them crashing into a crowded carriage. As floods of terrified passengers begin fleeing, a voiceover announces that the train is coming to an emergency stop. Denji notices a single remaining passenger, who turns out to be an injured woman lying on the floor. As Samurai Boy launches another attack at Denji, our man, like the pure melon-grabbing gentleman he is, blocks the freaking attack while protecting the woman, but loses his entire arm in the process. The woman thankfully runs away, as Denji then angrily shouts that they should ban that move, which is, the exact same move that they messed Denji up with last time, when he cut him in half. The Katana Man attacks again, easily slicing off Denji's other arm. He then demands that as long as Denji can no longer fight, he should apologize for killing the old man and accept death. Which is just like, bro, you're still going on about that old fool. He died in the first freaking episode, man. Even people watching this video have already seen your grandpa get turned into a freaking zombie burrito, bro. Just chill out. Anyway, Denji refuses, stating that as long as he has his chainsaw on his head, he can still fight. The two then clash again. However, the impact causes the blade on Denji's chainsaw head to shatter. The Katana Man again demands an apology in return for a swift death. But this time, Denji reveals that the Katana Andy was so distracted with anger that he didn't even notice literally being sliced in half by Denji's chainsaw leg. The Katana Man, now revealed to have been split vertically in half, which is like, damn bro, those poor nuts, really cut in half. Anyways, he reacts with a moment of surprise before his body completely falls apart into a mass of blood and organs. Standing above him, Denji repeats the words told to him by his master, Big Frickin' Kishibe, earlier on in their training. Prey should never trust what a hunter says. So this officially brings us to the very end of what is the Chainsaw Man versus Katana Man battle, or the two battles that they have, where the Bureau is pitted up against the people who are kind of working with the gun agents here, or the supposed, you know, like gun agents, that we find out later on may not even be true. Well, obviously, if you guys want to know more about, you know, like Chainsaw Man in general, then make sure you check out my entire Chainsaw Man story explained, or just like the Katana Man story arc explained, where it goes over a lot more of the stuff that I've kept out of this video here, and just more focused on what is my, like, pretty much, I'd say it's my favorite fight. It's definitely up there in terms of, say, like my favorite fights in Chainsaw Man so far. Just the turn from what was going on in the story beforehand, with Denji kind of taking out every single villain or devil that we've gone up against so far, and now finally having like this different kind of aspect where you've got two enemies, and you've kind of got one person for Aki to go up against, and then you've got one person for Denji to go up against, and then the whole like perspective of the world changing in like regards to what can actually happen. Like characters that you don't think can die can actually die in this series, and it's like Game of Thrones, or like Jujutsu Kaisen, or just like another, it's just really comparable to like great series out there. So I absolutely love Chainsaw Man in general, and if you guys want me to cover any more of the fights and go back over them and, you know, re-edit them like I have here from Chainsaw Man, then let me know down in the description below, and I'll be sure to do that, you know, over the next like month or two while Chainsaw Man is releasing. Also, I just, you know, like at the start of the video I said, you know, pushing for 100,000 subs. I just want to thank everyone for 100,000 subs now. Honestly didn't expect, you know, by the time I started editing this video 3 days ago till now, I would have hit 100,000 subs, but I somehow did, so it's blown my mind. And, you know, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel and just enjoyed the content that I have been putting out for the last like year and a half now. It's been absolutely awesome, and you've made a dream of mine like literally come true. This is something I've wanted to do since the age of 16 years old, where I used to sit back and jam out and make Minecraft videos. Like if you've seen my freaking Minecraft texture pack video that I've still got on the channel, I just don't want to delete it, you know, like for nostalgia reasons and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, obviously hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't know what you're doing here. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, like you're smoking on something you shouldn't be. But anyway, for now, it's been your professional degenerate Diavolo, and I will see you all in a bit. Bye.